Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another collection of my weekly makeup looks where I'm gonna be sharing with you all the looks that I've worn in the span of the past 7 days, and I'm gonna kind of walk you through all the products I'm using, the eyeshadows, and hopefully give you some kind of inspiration. So I hope you're gonna enjoy this. And in case you're new here, hi, my name's Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, I love eyeshadows especially, and everything bright, fun, and colorful. And I'm currently trying to reach 1K, so if you would be so kind to subscribe, it would really help. It would really help me out a lot. And now for all the eyeshadows and all the products that I'm wearing on my face right now. So I always start with brows because that's my first step. And I'm using this shade, which is a deep body shade from the Christmas Eve palette by Auden's Eye, and it's called Just Now. I have that in my brows today. And it's currently my Pendos eyeshadows. Then I'm also using the Super Lock Brow Gel from Maybelline. This is my current brow gel or brow glue. I have the Wet n Wild Megalast eyeshadow primer. Then I actually filmed this look for my Pendos eyeshadows look. Every single time I roll in a new Pendos eyeshadows, I always try to use them at least once for an entire look so that I know that I at least used them once. And I started with this Makeup Beauty Shop Serpent palette, which is a collab palette with Martha's Makeup. And the shade that I have there is the shade Forewarning. This bright yellow, so I have that all throughout the crease. I was kind of blending it out so it's not fully yellow. If I wanted to look like that, I would need a white base. Then on my lid, I have the Glam Shop Sorbeti palette and the shade Niepozorny. So I have that all over the lid because I didn't want to set my primer with that since I knew I'm gonna use the neon yellow, but I still wanted to use it somehow, and this is pretty much my skin tone shade, so I just used it that way. Then another matte shade that we have here is the Salmon 2 palette by Auden's Eye and the shade Nebula, and I have that as an eyeliner all over my eyes. As you can see, I've used this shade so many times and there's still no pan, but these pans are really deep. So that's for the matte shades. Then I have the Shine On glitter primer or shimmer primer from Cleonut, and my last Pendos eyeshadow shade is actually this one over here. This is from Tinkerbell palette from Colourpop, and this one is called Pixie Dust. And this one isn't actually to hit a pan because I already had a pan when I rolled it in, but I'm trying to use it up completely. So that's a little bit more complicated. And then to finish up this look, because I still wanted to add a couple of shades, so I have the Drops of Fantasy by DD Signature that I'm still kind of trying, even though I've already used this palette many times. But I used the shade Fizz and Fly in the first half to kind of give it a little bit more of that blue sheen. Then I have my Glisten and Linz palette, and I've used the shade Blink for these little flowers, and then the shade Cringe for these darker flowers. And I have this set of pearls. This is from Shein, and I bought it 2 years ago, so I don't think it's gonna be available anymore, or definitely not from the store that I bought it, because it changes a lot on Shein. Then I have the Salmon eyeliner in the shade 09 from Auden's Eye in my waterline. I have the Panorama mascara from L'Oreal. I have the Super Stay Concealer from Maybelline in the shade number 10. I have this lip tint from Beauty Bay, and this one is called Scotch. This is beautiful, warm, I don't know, brownie red. It's very warm red. As a blush, I'm using my Gingerbread shade from the Merry Christmas palette, so this one. I actually repressed it a couple days ago, and I had a pan today as well. And then I have this ZC Colorful Animal, and I'm mixing it with this pink one, pink shade over here to get like, because the shade Gingerbread is very pigmented and very orange. I mean, you can see that it's like very pigmented blush, so it will dial down a bit. I just did my makeup not that long ago, so it will dial down, but it is very orange, and so I need to, you know, soften it with something lighter. So I've been using this pink because it's in my Project 20 uses, and I don't know what I would do with this palette because I'm definitely not gonna be doing 20 pinky orange looks. Like that would take me forever. And then as a highlight, oh, I actually used a couple of shades. So the Beauty Bay Mini Charms palette. I have the shade Milky Way, this one, in the inner corner and also underneath my brows. Then I also used this shade, which is called Mystic. It's like a purple, kind of like a soft gray purple, to going into this like minty green, like a cool toned green. So I have that all over the blue matte shade because I wanted to do a metallic eyeliner. So I just sprayed my brush with a setting spray and used this shade. Because this is my Project Level Up palette, I have to create 4 pans here. So I'm obviously gonna target the first 3 shades here, but then I have to choose between these two because this one already had a pan. I just repressed it because it was impossible to use without repressing. So I need these two, and I found out that this one is a softer formula than this one, so I'm just targeting this shade. And because I was really layering it all over the eyeliner, like you really need to layer it, especially since these are more like sparkly, they're not very metallic. You do use a lot of product for that, which is obviously amazing for me. And then I'm also using the shade Infinity, this orange one, as a face highlighter because it's quite a beautiful shade. And again, I just want to hit pan on this, so I'm just targeting that. So let me kind of show you a little bit more of a close-up on this. I mean, it's such a pretty look. I've created a couple similar looks in the past 2 months because I've been really enjoying them. So, you know, this is my new obsession. I mean, I liked these types of looks last year as well around this time. Like, it's just, this is just such a summer look for me. Like the kind of orangey yellows with the blue. I'm sorry, but it's just like beach and the sea, and I just love it. So yeah, I'm probably gonna recreate it couple times in the next 2 months. But that's for today's look, and see you tomorrow. Okay, so here's another weekly look. Today I'm actually trying a lot of different things. So for brows, I've used the shade New Leaf, which is a deep potted shade from the Merry Christmas palette by Woodin's Eye, and I'm mixing that with this vibrant kind of orangey shade called Gingerbread, also from Merry Christmas from Woodin's Eye, to get this kind of brown. It's a little bit like cooler toned than the shade Softly that I would normally use, but I'm trying to maybe like hit a pan in the shade New Leaf, so I've been kind of switching it up. And also I want to use up the Merry Christmas palette, so I just wanted to focus on all of the shades. And with that, I'm using the Super Lock Brow Glue from Maybelline. And I have my Wet n Wild Megalast eyeshadow primer. And I'm mixing a couple different shades. So I'm using the shade Salmona 2, I'm using the Salmona 2 palette by Woodin's Eye. I started with the shade Warm Light in the inner part. Then I have the shade Nebula, this one, in the outer part. And I blended that out with my Mio Makeup Frog's Tales palette, which you've probably already seen a lot in these weekly makeup looks because it's my Pendos eyeshadows. So it's the shade Fog, and there's a dip, so maybe I'm gonna be able to actually hit a pan on this one. And then for shimmers, I have my NYX glitter primer, and then this duped palette that I created yesterday, and it's duping a very popular new all shimmer palette that just released not that long ago. So I'm using the shade Orion in the second half of the lid. Then I have, and it's from Makeup Beauty Shop, then the shade Botanical from Makeup Beauty Shop in the first half, and then the shade Glaze in the inner corner. Sorry, my camera cut me off. So as a liner, I have this Glisten and Lens palette and the shade Blink for the liner. In my waterline, I have this Streamline eyeliner from Revolution in the shade Yellow. Superstay Concealer by Maybelline in the shade Tan. Panorama Mascara from L'Oreal. This Swamp Fog shade from Uden's Eye. This is like a matte lipstick from the Halloween bundle. That was a collaboration with Angie. As a blush, I'm mixing Ice Crystal from Christmas Eve and Gingerbread from Merry Christmas from Uden's Eye. And as a highlighter, I have the Beauty Bay Mini Charms palette and the shade Pluto. So that's kind of everything that's on my face currently. It's a lot, but it's fun, or at least I think it's fun. And I love these multichromes, like they're so beautiful. So that's for that, and see you tomorrow. Hey guys, so here is another look. Today I was just kind of creative. I was actually watching one of Caitlin's videos in the morning. It was the Project and Uses update, and I don't know, this is just kind of what happened during that time. So let me kind of show you what I'm wearing. First up, we're gonna start with brows, and I'm using this shade which is called New Leaf from the Merry Christmas palette by Uden's Eye. It's just depotted into this, and I'm mixing that with this orange called Gingerbread, also from Merry Christmas from Uden's Eye, to create this brow shade. And I think it works quite well with my hair. Oh, so there's like a little thingy here. So that's for brows. Then on my brows as well, I have the Super Lock brow gel, the brow glue from Maybelline. Sorry, I can't speak today. I have my Wet n I have my Wet n Wild megalast eyeshadow primer, and then I combined a couple different projects today to just, you know, today was the day of me trying to hit as many pans as I can, and I haven't been successful with either of them, but whatever, at least I'm closer. So I'm using the Salmona 2 from Uden's Eye, and I used the shade Nebula, and I kind of layered it all over the lid. So pretty much the entire area that is covered up with shimmer has this as a base, because I really wanted a like deep smoky blue look. So it's all over there and on the lower lash line. And then I softened it up with the Mio Makeup the Frogtail palette. And the shade that I was using is the shade Fog. So this one. And I slowly from the crease up, I was just kind of blending out the deep blue, and also I was doing the same thing on the lower lash line, so it's kind of like smoking it out. And it's a beautiful blue, by the way. So these two were the mattes, and then for shimmers I have my NYX glitter primer. Then I used my Dragon Eye palette by What's Up Beauty, and I have the shade Myth in the inner half or the inner third, and then the rest I'm using the shade Magic kind of all throughout the lid. And I wasn't able to hit a pan, but we're so close. So that's for the shimmers. Let me actually show you a little bit like of a close-up on that. It's just so pretty. Then in the inner corner, I have one of my newer Makeup Beauty Shop shades that I'm trying to use and I'm trying to play with. And that's the shade Bubbles from the, I think it's like one of the newer collections, if I remember that correctly. But this is Bubbles, and it's beautiful, kind of like blue, green, gold, iridescent shade. And then obviously for the white eyeliner, I have my Glisten and Lens palette. This is the water activated palette, and I'm using the shade Don't Think Just Do. And yeah, I did this like almost like a spacey theme, I guess. I did something similar a while ago. I think it was like 5 days ago, and I just loved that. And because the eyeshadows are kind of deeper, but I still wanted this look to feel light, I used the white. And first of all, I love how stark this white is, and I love this shape. I think I'm gonna have to do this again. Like, these kind of rounder shapes has been my favorite as of late for eyeliners, which is so funny because I always used to love the like cat eye, but lately this has been just bringing me so much joy. And to kind of stay with the blue theme, I have my Revolution Streamline Eyeliner in the shade Light Blue. I have my Essence All Eyes on Me mascara on the top lashes, and on the bottom I'm using the Glisten Spectra Lash in the shade White. So it's this colored mascara in white. Then I have my Maybelline Superstay Concealer in the shade 10. I have I'm mixing the shade Gingerbread from Merry Christmas and the shade Ice Crystal from Christmas Eve from Odin's Eye as my blush. It creates this like peachy tone. And lately I've been seeing a lot of progress with these two shades, so I'm definitely like on the right track. Then I'm using my mini Charms palette by Beauty Bay, which is my one of my Pendos palettes. And I'm using the center shade called Cosmic as a highlighter. Such a beautiful iridescent highlighter. And then for the first time, I'm trying a lipstick. I've made like a really big order on YesStyle that came, I think it might be a month ago. But I haven't really tried a lot of the products yet because I've been kind of just, I opened it and I spread all the products like on a little night table here. And that was it. I haven't touched them since then. So, but I have this Handayan. I'm not completely sure if that's how you pronounce that, but this is like a liquid matte lipstick in the shade 11. It's this super deep, almost inky, but like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it's really deep blue. It's not super even, and it definitely took like 3 coats to get here, but it's my first time trying this particular product, but also this entire formula. There's birds outside. This particular formula, so I'm gonna have to try it a couple more times to see what's the best way to use it, and maybe I'm gonna get better results eventually. But right now, this is what we have, this is what we're working with, and it's a cute little color. I've always wanted to have lipstick like this, so this could be really nice. I just have to figure out how to have it a little bit less patchy and with less coats. And I can definitely feel it. It's like slightly like drying up. So if you have any tips, because I'm not as experienced with wearing liquid lipsticks, I'm not very good at wearing lipsticks at all. Because I always eat and drink and then everything just smears around, and I either have like a huge mustache or I just have like a line all around the lips and everything else is gone. So I'm just not very graceful at wearing lipsticks. So if you have any tips on these liquid formulas, let me know down below. But that's kind of the look for today, and I love it so much. I love blues. I know they don't really look all that good on me. Like, they definitely can clash. I feel like these blues work. This and then like a really pastel blue works on me usually. If I wear any other type of blue, it can be a little bit of struggle, but I still just blue has been my favorite color for a really long time, especially when I was growing up. Like I loved blue. Everything was blue when I was like 13 to I don't know 16. Everything was blue. I loved that color. Now I'm more like orange green, but I still have such a soft spot for blues. So that's it for today, and now let's jump right into the next look. Guys, so here's another look, and today I decided to mix my like green shades with a little bit of peach, which is one of my favorite combination of like green and something. So let me kind of show you how I created this look. It's just so pretty, and it was actually really quick. But first up, let's get into brows. So I'm mixing, for the first time I've tried to mix this shade called New Leaf from the Merry Christmas palette by Odin's Eye, which is now deputted into this palette, and together with the ZC Colorful Animal 4 color eyeshadow X03, and it's kind of like pinky orange, and I mixed that with the orange shade to create this kind of cooler tone brown brow. And I think it's quite okay. Like I think slightly you can see the green tint, but with this look it doesn't really matter. So, and obviously this is my Project 20 Uses palette, so I do want to get some use on it, and the New Leaf is in my Pendos palettes, so I'm just working on that. And then with these I have my Maybelline Superlock Brow Gel. Then I have my Wet n Wild Megalast eyeshadow primer, and I've used my Avatar The Last Airbender Earth palette from Little. This is also my Project 20 Uses palette, so I wanted to get some use, and I would like to know and left behind it before the end of the month. So I have 575 in the whole like inner half of the crease. Sorry, there's like a dust here for some reason. And then I have Basingse in the outer part and slightly on the lower lash line together with the 575. And then I used my deputted shades from the Merry Christmas palette. So I have Christmas Tree in the outer part just to like slightly deepen it up, because I would like to use it up at some point, hopefully before the end of summer. I would kind of like to use up all of my Merry Christmas shades by the end of the summer, so that's kind of what I've been really focusing on and trying to use at least some of them every single day. So that's this one. Then I have my NYX glitter primer, and actually a trick that I've learned not that long ago but that I've been using quite a lot is kind of layering shades, especially like layering a shade that you just want to use up, and then on top of it put the shades that you actually want to wear. So I use this shade called Jingle Bell, which is a beautiful shade, but I'm trying to use it up. I have shades like this. I even have very similar shade in the Little palette, and that one is obviously way newer and way like more current quality. So I have that in the second half, but I covered it up with different shades, and that is, and now I have to remember what I actually am wearing. Oh yeah, I have this shade which is called Wrath. I never know how to pronounce that. In the second half of that, it's from Makeup Beauty Shop. Then I have this shade which is called Blinding Lights, also from Makeup Beauty Shop. It's in the first half, and I have this shade which is called Strawberry Kiss in the inner corner, and all of these are from Makeup Beauty Shop. Then I have my Glisten and Lindt liner palette, and I wanted to use this white shade called Don't Think Just Do. It's the central shade. It's my most used liner from this entire palette, and I just did this kind of like wing look. It was actually really quick. Today I was lucky and my hands wanted to do what I wanted them to do, so it's been quite nice. I completely forgot to wear waterline pencil for some reason, but I have the Essence All Eyes on Me mascara. Then I have Maybelline Superstay Concealer in the shade 10. I have my Oden's Eye and Angelica Nyquist lipstick from the Halloween collection. And this is the matte one in the shade Swamp Fog that I've been wearing a ton and I'm almost out of. So, you know, I've just been kind of excited to use my project pans. And then as a blush, I'm mixing the shade Ice Crystal from the Christmas Eve and the Gingerbread shade from Merry Christmas from Oden's Eye. It's my everyday combo. And then I have my Beauty Bay Mini Charms palette, and I'm mixing two shades as a highlighter. First up, I use the shade Pluto, and then to kind of soften it up and bring in a little bit more of that like goldy green, I'm using the shade Milky Way. So that's kind of the shades, and I think that's everything that I have on my face. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this look. Hi guys, welcome back to another look. And today I decided to kind of work on multiple different shades and projects and stuff in my collection to create this kind of orangey blue look that I absolutely love. This is kind of like one of my favorite ways to incorporate blues into more like neutrally okay looks, and also I feel like this is such a perfect summery look. So in case you don't know what to do and you've been feeling a little bit more adventurous with your makeup, maybe try something like this. So let me kind of show you what I've used. First up, I have the shade Softly in my brows. This is a depotted shade from my Christmas Eve palette by Uden's Eye, and that I'm trying to use up this year. And I have the Maybelline Superlock brow gel in my brows. Then I have the Wet n Wild Megalast eyeshadow primer, and I've used multiple different shades. So first up, I have my ZC Colorful Animal X03 palette. This is the like pink orangey one, and I've used the orange matte as like the main matte shadow because this is in my Project 20 uses. And then I've used my Salmona 2 palette by Uden's Eye. Sorry, did I thought the table is shaking, but I'm not completely sure. I have the shade Warm Light to kind of soften it up in the inner corner and on the under the brows. And then I have the shade Solar in the outer part. And I thought I'm gonna hit a pan, but I'm actually still not there yet. But there's a good dip happening, so maybe eventually I could, because I would like to have another pan here. And then the last matte shade is actually a shade that I'm vigorously trying to hit pan on, and that's the shade Nebula. And I've used it as an eyeliner all over the eyes and as like a winged liner. I love this type of liner or this type of look for also hitting a pan on deeper shadows that I'm not as eager to use. What I'm gonna say, this shadow takes forever to hit pan on because it's a little bit more thicker and almost like not body formula, but like it's not as fluffy cream matte as the other ones. This one is like very thick. But it's quite easy to draw eyeliner with it. There are certain matte formulas that no matter how hard you try, like you just can't get a straight line. And this one, you don't need to mix it with anything and it will be pretty good opaque line. So, you know, that's like a positive of this eyeshadow. Then for shimmers, so I have my NYX glitter primer. I went in again with the ZC palette, and I have the shimmer shade there, the kind of orangey shimmer in the second, or like in the last third of the lid. Then I wanted to have a little bit more like a neutral shimmer in the center, and I have the Middle Earth palette by Glamlight. It's the Lord of the Rings collab, and I've used the shade One Ring, this one in the center, just because I don't know, I just felt like I want to use that shade, so I did. And then in the inner part of the lid, I have the Drops of Fantasy by DT Signature, and I have the shade Bubble with Joy, this beautiful kind of yellowy shade right over here to kind of brighten it up a bit. Then I'm using my Bendo's eyeshadows, which is the Salmonette 2 Moonwish palette by Odin's Eye, and it's the shade Neptune. And without spraying a brush, I just used it all over the, kind of everywhere where the blue matte shade was. So I have that all over the eye, and I'm not completely sure if there's a pan, maybe, maybe not. I literally cannot tell. But yeah, this is how it looks like. And again, love it. And I feel like maybe I could do just the eyeliner at some point, and maybe then just like pastel blue. Maybe we could do that. I'm trying to figure out a way how to, you know, create a version of this again, because I really like it. Or maybe like a yellow crease. That could also be really pretty. Or maybe teal. Like a pastel teal. I'm gonna have to figure out a look, but I'm definitely gonna use it again as this as the same combo, because you know I want to hit pan on these shadows, and I really like the combination of it. Then in the inner corner, I have my Beauty May Mini Charms palette, which is my Pendo's Penda palette, or one of them, and I've used the shade Aurora, this one in the inner corner. It's such a beautiful shade, and I felt like it would kind of connect the orange with the blue, or like not connect, but you know, it would make it more cohesive maybe. Then I have my Salmon Gel Liner in the shade 07 in the waterline. I have my Panorama Mascara from L'Oreal. I have a foundation on today, and maybe you can see because it's darker than my skin. I didn't realize this one is one of those that I want to wear with self tanner on, and it's kind of misleading because I have the same concealer from this collection in the same shade, and they don't match together. But anyways, I'm wearing the Catrice Aqua Splash Grip Primer underneath, and then I have the Superstay foundation from Maybelline, and this one is in the shade Tan Ivory. And I have the same concealer under my eyes, and these two shades are so different. Like maybe you can even see it on the screen. Like this one is so much lighter, but they're both ivory and they're both number 10. So can somebody explain that to me? So yeah, I'm gonna have to remember to either use this with lighter foundations or with a self tanner on. But what I like about this foundation is slightly like thicker, and it slightly feels like a almost not clay, but you know, like a thicker, moussier maybe formula when you start to use it, but then it kind of spreads and it sets on itself, and it's just very blushy, and it doesn't get into your lines too much. Like usually my forehead is just lines everywhere, so I do really appreciate the fact that it's kind of seamless, but I would just appreciate better shade not description, but like numeration, if that is that a word, you know, just if you have concealer and foundation in the same line and you're using the same numbers to describe shades, make them match, please. Like it's not that hard. I'm sure that it's not impossible to do, so just FYI, please do that. Then I have this lipstick. This is the Udens Eye and Angelica Halloween bundle lipstick. It's a matte one called Swamp Fog. I just felt like I need to do something like terracotta for this look. And then as a blush, I'm kind of mixing these two shades. So it's the Ice Crystal from Christmas Eve palette and then the Gingerbread from Merry Christmas. I'm actually focusing more on the gingerbread because A, I kind of want to use it up, and B, I feel like when I have foundation on, this doesn't, it's not too orange, because if I use it without foundation, I feel like it looks incredibly orange on me on its own. So I need to dial it down with this gray to kind of make it like more peachy. But today, actually, I feel like, I don't know if that foundation kind of soaks up the pigment or what it is, but I was mostly just using this on the face. And I was actually able to hit a pan on this because it's a very shallow pan at this point. So maybe by the end of July, I could be done with this shade, which would be just so incredible. And then, oh, highlighter. So I'm using the Avatar The Last Airbender Earth palette by Little, because I kind of wanted something that's like warm but slightly cool as well. And so I wanted something that's like orangey or gold, but also something that would be like either pinky or something like cooler. And there's the shade Kiyoshi, which is that kind of like pink to peach to green gold. Let me maybe try to show you. Like, I think you can see that it's like pink peach gold. And I just feel like that kind of ties the whole look together. So yeah, that's the, oh, one last thing. I have the Glisten and Lens waterliner activated palette because it's my palette crush of the month. So I have to use it every single day at some capacity. And I have this white shade over here called Dumb Thing Just Do. It's like this little shape line thingy. Don't know how to describe that, but that was just kind of what I've been feeling, and so that's what I did. And that's the entire look. So let me know what you think about this one, and I'll see you tomorrow with another look. Hi guys, so here's another daily makeup look, and as you can see, also a new hair. But let me kind of show you a little bit of a close-up. I decided to create like a easy blue look, and then a couple hours ago I added this kind of like rainbowy detail. It's actually been inspired by Sia the Makeup Witch, so I'm gonna link her Instagram down below. But what I'm wearing, I have one of the cool tone green shades from the Avatar The Last Airbender Earth palette by Little Cosmetics. I will pop the picture of the palette down below, next to my head with the shade in the circle because I don't have it here. And I mixed it with the shade Softly from the Christmas Eve palette by Udens Eye to create this brow shade because I wanted something that's like still green but also has like a little bit of a neutral undertone there. Where do I have everything? I always lose stuff. Did I lose my primer? Then I have the Super Lock Brow Gel, or like brow glue. Then I have the Wet n Wild Megalast Eyeshadow Primer. And then I've used a couple of my Pindos eyeshadows from last month. So I have the shade Nebula, this one, from the Solmona 2 palette by Udens Eye, as the like liner portion. I also have the shade Soft Cloud in the crease to kind of soften it up. Then I have the shade Neptune over the blue, over the dark blue, and it's a shimmer shade from the Salmone 2 Moonwish palette by Udens Eye that I also don't have here because I've been at the dorm in the morning. Then I have the shimmer that is on my lid, the green one, is the Shire from the Middle Earth palette by Glamlight. And in the inner corner I have Galadriel, I believe that's the shade name. If it's not, then I'm gonna pop up the name on the screen. On the lower lash line I have the shade Pixie Dust from Tinkerbell palette from Colourpop, it's this shade. And then I have, on my lower lashes, I have the white mascara from Glisten Cosmetics. It's the Spectra Lash in white. I can't find it. I just got it here, so maybe I just it's somewhere in the suitcase, hopefully. And I have the Panorama mascara from L'Oreal. I have my Superstay concealer from Maybelline. Blush is mixture of the shade Gingerbread from Merry Christmas by Udens Eye and then the shade Ice Crystal from Christmas Eve by Udens Eye. Highlighter is the shade Aurora from the Mini Charms palette by Beauty Bay. And then for the liners, I'm using this Glisten and Lin's Water Activated Liner palette. Mine is very dirty. So I have the shade Don't Think Just Do as the star. Then the red shade is called Heart. Then the kind of orange shade is actually the shade Blink, but since I had the red on my brush, it kind of got mixed up and created a orange. Then I have the shade Toot underneath the green one. And then I have the bottom part of the sound effect over here for the blue part, which I don't even know if you can see that. And I think that's everything that I have on my face right now. Maybe. So here's the close-up. I will definitely link Sia down below so that you can check her out. But yeah, it's just so fun. I love this look. It's like kind of whimsical and cute and fairy-like, and you know it's kind of like especially with the hair, it's kind of like a rainbow mermaid.